What if I told you that somewhere in the vaults of Yale University lies a book that has stumped the world's greatest codebreakers for over a century? A manuscript so mysterious that it's been called the most mysterious book in the world, and it might just rewrite everything we know about medieval knowledge. This is the Voynich Manuscript, and by the end of this video, you'll understand why it's driven researchers to madness, why the NSA couldn't crack it, and why some believe it might not even be from our world. But before we dive into this rabbit hole that goes deeper than you could ever imagine, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Trust me, you're going to want to see where this story leads us. Picture this. It's 1912. The world is on the brink of the Great War, and in a Jesuit college in Italy, an antiquarian book dealer named Wilfred Voynich is about to make the discovery of his lifetime. Voynich wasn't just any book dealer. He was a former revolutionary, a man who had been imprisoned by the Russian Empire for his political activities. He knew secrets, he understood codes, and he had an eye for the extraordinary. But nothing could have prepared him for what he found that day hidden away in the Villa Mondragone, among a collection of manuscripts that the Jesuits were quietly selling to fund their operations. Voynich discovered something that defied explanation. A vellum manuscript, beautifully illustrated, filled with text that looked like language, but wasn't like any language anyone had ever seen. The manuscript appeared ancient, its pages yellowed with age, its ink faded but still legible. But what was written there? That was the question that would consume Voynich for the rest of his life, and continues to baffle experts to this day. But here's where the story gets really interesting. This wasn't the manuscript's first brush with history. Oh no, the trail goes back much further to one of the most fascinating figures of the 17th century, Athanasius Kircher, a German Jesuit scholar who was considered one of the last great Renaissance men. He studied everything: linguistics, geology, medicine, music. If there was knowledge to be had, Kircher wanted it. And somehow, this mysterious manuscript ended up in his possession. How did Kircher get it? We know from letters that it was sent to him by Johannes Marcus Marci, a rector of the University of Prague, who claimed it had belonged to the court of Rudolf II, the Holy Roman Emperor known for his obsession with the occult and mysterious arts. But even Kircher, with all his knowledge of ancient languages and codes, couldn't crack it. The manuscript sat in the Jesuit archives for centuries, forgotten, gathering dust, waiting for someone like Voynich to rediscover its mystery. If you're already fascinated by this story, give this video a thumbs up. It helps more people discover these incredible historical mysteries. So what exactly is this mysterious book that has stumped scholars for over 400 years? The Voynich manuscript consists of about 240 vellum pages, though experts believe some pages may be missing. But it's not just any book. This is a manuscript that seems to exist in its own reality. Imagine opening a book and finding page after page of text written in an alphabet you've never seen before. The letters flow together in a way that looks like language. There are clear word breaks, paragraphs, even what appears to be different sections and chapters. But every single character is completely unknown. Now imagine that this impossible text is accompanied by hundreds of detailed illustrations that are just as baffling as the writing itself. There are botanical sections showing plants that don't exist. Not plants that are extinct or rare plants that appear to have never existed on Earth. Flowers with impossible geometries, roots that twist in ways that defy botanical logic, leaves arranged in patterns no known plant has ever displayed. There are astronomical charts showing star maps that don't match any known celestial observations. Diagrams of zodiacal symbols mixed with strange naked figures in ways that suggest some kind of astrological knowledge. But from where? And then there are the pharmaceutical sections. Pages upon pages showing vessels, containers, and what appear to be recipes or formulas. But recipes for what? And in what language? But perhaps most unsettling of all are the biological sections. Pages showing tiny naked human figures, mostly women, bathing in pools of green and blue liquid, connected by an intricate network of pipes and tubes. What are these figures? What are these liquids? What process is being described here? The manuscript is organized into distinct sections, suggesting it's some kind of scientific or medical textbook. But a textbook for what? And written by whom? For whom? Carbon dating has placed the manuscript's creation between 1404 and 1438. That means it was created during the early Renaissance, a time when knowledge was expanding rapidly across Europe. But this manuscript doesn't fit with anything else from that period. Here's what makes it even more mysterious. Statistical analysis of the text shows that it has all the hallmarks of a natural language. It follows Zipf's law. The frequency distribution of words matches what we see in real languages. There are patterns, repetitions, variations that suggest grammar and syntax. But it's not Latin, it's not any Germanic language, it's not Arabic or Hebrew or any known European language of the period. Computer analysis has compared it to every known language, living and dead, and found no matches. So we're left with a book that appears to be written in a real language, but a language that has never been identified. A book filled with scientific knowledge, but knowledge that doesn't match the known science of its time. A book that someone clearly spent years creating, but for purposes we can't even begin to understand. Now, you might think that surely in our modern age of computers and cryptanalysis, we would have cracked the Voynich Manuscript by now. You'd be wrong. And the list of people who have tried and failed reads like a who's who of the world's greatest codebreakers. During World War I, the best cryptographers of their generation took a crack at the manuscript. These were people who were breaking German military codes, deciphering intercepted telegrams that could change the course of the war. They failed completely. World War II brought even more sophisticated codebreakers to the mystery. We're talking about the same people who broke the Enigma code, who cracked Japanese diplomatic ciphers, who developed the foundations of modern computer science in their quest to decode enemy communications. They all failed. William Friedman, considered the father of modern cryptography, became obsessed with the Voynich Manuscript. This was a man who had revolutionized the science of code breaking, who had built the foundation of what would become the NSA. He spent decades of his life on this manuscript. Friedman assembled teams of the best cryptanalysts in the world. They approached it from every angle. They looked for substitution ciphers, transposition codes, polyalphabetic ciphers, steganography. They used statistical analysis, frequency analysis, pattern recognition. They built machines specifically designed to find patterns in the Voynich text. And after decades of work, Friedman concluded that the manuscript might be written in an entirely artificial language, created from scratch by its author. But even that theory couldn't explain all the manuscript's characteristics. In the 1970s, the NSA, the most powerful cryptographic organization in the world, turned their attention to the manuscript. These are the people who can break any code, who have computing power beyond civilian imagination, who have access to techniques and technologies that remain classified to this day. The NSA studied the manuscript extensively. They used every tool in their arsenal. And their conclusion, the Voynich Manuscript remains undeciphered. Think about that for a moment. In an age where we can break nearly any code, where computer power has grown exponentially, where artificial intelligence can translate between languages in real time, this medieval manuscript continues to resist all attempts at understanding. But the failures of professional cryptographers open the door for some truly wild theories. And some of these theories are more unsettling than you might expect. This story is about to take some incredible turns. If you want to see more content like this, hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments. What do you think the Voynich Manuscript really is? When conventional cryptography fails, human imagination takes over. And the theories about the Voynich Manuscript range from the plausible to the absolutely mind-bending. Theory number 1. It's a lost medical text. Some scholars believe the manuscript is actually a legitimate medieval medical manual, written in a constructed language or cipher to protect valuable medical knowledge. The botanical illustrations might show plants that were known in the medieval period but are now extinct or unidentifiable. The strange bathing figures could represent hydrotherapy treatments that were common in medieval medicine. This theory has support. Medieval texts often used cipher to protect valuable information from competitors. Medical knowledge was incredibly valuable, and physicians would go to great lengths to protect their secrets. But here's the problem with this theory. Why hasn't anyone been able to identify a single plant? Why don't the astronomical charts match known celestial observations from the medieval period? And why would someone create such an elaborate cipher that even modern computers can't crack it? Theory number 2. It's an elaborate hoax. This theory suggests that the manuscript is actually a Renaissance-era fake, created to deceive buyers into thinking they were purchasing an ancient, valuable text. The meaningless text and impossible illustrations were designed to look mysterious and important without actually meaning anything. Some researchers have pointed to statistical anomalies in the text that might suggest it was randomly generated rather than representing a real language. They argue that a clever forger could have created convincing-looking text by following simple rules without actually encoding any real information. But there are problems with this theory too. The manuscript shows signs of authentic age. The vellum, the inks, the binding techniques all appear genuinely medieval. And why would a forger spend what must have been years creating such an elaborate fake? The level of detail and consistency throughout the manuscript suggests either genuine knowledge or an incredible amount of work for a relatively small potential payoff. Theory number 3. It's written in a lost language. Some linguists have proposed that the manuscript might be written in a language that has been completely lost to history. Perhaps it represents the last remaining text of a culture that was wiped out by war, plague, or conquest. There are precedents for this. We know that many languages have been lost to history. Linear A, the script of the Minoan civilization, remains undeciphered. There are dozens of ancient scripts and languages that we can barely understand or can't read at all. But what lost civilization could have produced knowledge so advanced? The botanical and astronomical illustrations suggest understanding that goes beyond what we know about medieval science. And why would only one text survive? Usually, when we discover lost languages, we find multiple examples, not a single mysterious manuscript. And then there are the theories that venture into much stranger territory. Some researchers have proposed that the manuscript represents knowledge from an advanced but lost civilization. Not lost to conventional history, but lost in ways we don't usually consider. Could the Voynich Manuscript be evidence of a level of medieval knowledge that has been completely forgotten? Could there have been Renaissance scientists whose discoveries were so far ahead of their time that they were suppressed or lost? Think about it. The manuscript dates to the early 15th century, but some of the illustrations seem to show knowledge that wouldn't be rediscovered for centuries. The astronomical charts, the botanical details, the complex pharmaceutical processes. Could this represent a lost golden age of scientific knowledge? And then there's the theory that really pushes the boundaries of conventional thinking. Some researchers have suggested that the manuscript might not be from our timeline at all, that it could be evidence of some kind of temporal anomaly, a book from a parallel history where science developed differently, where plants evolved along different paths, where human knowledge took turns that never happened in our reality. I know how that sounds. But when you've exhausted every conventional explanation, when the world's best cryptographers have failed, when carbon dating confirms the manuscript is genuinely old but its contents don't match anything from its supposed time period, well, maybe it's time to consider unconventional possibilities. But the story of the Voynich Manuscript doesn't end with medieval mysteries and failed codebreakers. In recent years, New technologies and fresh approaches have yielded some intriguing developments. In 2017, a researcher named Gerard Cheshire made headlines by claiming he had finally cracked the code. He proposed that the manuscript was written in a form of medieval Latin that mixed multiple languages and used a unique writing system. According to Cheshire, the manuscript described women's health, herbal remedies, and astrological beliefs. The academic community was initially excited. Could this finally be the breakthrough they'd been waiting for? Unfortunately, Cheshire's translation was quickly debunked by medieval language experts. His proposed translations didn't hold up to scrutiny, and his methodology was questioned by cryptographers. The Voynich Manuscript had claimed another would-be decoder. But new approaches continue to emerge. Artificial intelligence and machine learning have opened up possibilities that previous generations of researchers couldn't have imagined. Modern AI can identify patterns in data that human researchers might miss, can process the entire manuscript in ways that would have taken teams of scholars years to accomplish. Some recent AI analysis has identified possible repeated phrases and structural patterns that might represent names or titles within the text. Other computer-assisted research has focused on the illustrations, using image recognition software to search for matches with known botanical and astronomical sources. And then there are the discoveries that researchers aren't talking about publicly. Rumors persist of classified research into the manuscript of government agencies that maintain ongoing interest in this medieval mystery. Why would modern intelligence services care about a 600-year-old book? What could they possibly hope to learn from it? Perhaps the most unsettling recent development is the discovery of what appear to be similar manuscripts in private collections around the world. Texts with similar characteristics, similar illustration styles, similar undecipherable scripts. If the Voynich manuscript isn't unique, if it's part of a larger body of mysterious medieval texts, then we're not just dealing with one anomalous book. We're dealing with an entire lost tradition of knowledge. The manuscript today sits in the Voynich Rare Book and Manuscript Library at Yale University, where it's been since 1969. It's been digitized, photographed, analyzed, and studied by thousands of researchers. Anyone can view high-resolution images of every page online, and yet it continues to guard its secrets. So here we are, more than a century after Wilfrid Voynich rediscovered this mysterious book, and we're no closer to understanding what it really is or what it means. The Voynich manuscript represents something profound about the limits of human knowledge. In an age where we can sequence DNA, decode the human genome, and communicate instantly across the globe, this medieval book continues to humble us. Maybe that's the real message of the Voynich manuscript. Maybe it's a reminder that for all our technological advances, for all our scientific achievements, there are still mysteries that resist our understanding. Still questions that don't have easy answers. Or maybe the truth is something far stranger. Maybe the manuscript really does contain knowledge from a lost civilization, from a parallel history, from a time when human understanding reached heights we can't even imagine. What do I think? After researching this story, after diving deep into the theories and the failed attempts at decipherment, I think the Voynich manuscript is exactly what it appears to be. A genuine scientific text from the medieval period, written in a language or code that we simply don't understand yet, that I think somewhere in those 240 pages of mysterious text and impossible illustrations lies real knowledge, real discoveries, real science that has been waiting 600 years for us to be smart enough to understand it. And maybe someday we will. What do you think the Voynich manuscript really is? Drop your theory in the comments below. I read every single one, and some of your ideas might be more insightful than you realize. If this story fascinated you, you absolutely need to watch my next video about next video topic. And if you want to dive deeper into history's greatest unsolved mysteries, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Trust me, we're just getting started. Until next time, keep questioning everything. The truth is out there, waiting to be discovered.